Hey guys, another Friday, another live stream. Starting things off, keeping everything nice. Got a WK2 up there, getting everything. He pretty much was a rolling shell, so we're just getting him new parts, everything, harnesses, drive shafts. He wanted it, we're getting it to him. So, never seen a relatively gutted Jeep. That's what she looks like. Whole bunch of room down there when there's no motor trans driveline. So, shop cars coming back together. It's going to be for sale soon enough. Chance to have a pretty nice car with a lot of nice mods at a great price. Let's see what's happening over here. Got a Jeep in here. Whipple coming back. Whipple going back on. I'm going to see what's up with that. And make some serious power here. So stay tuned for this. Over here, WK1 came in for a tune. Now we're doing diagnostics. It was down on power. Turned out the stock manifold had cracked, so we had to order a new one. And there was only one in existence in the entire country. We got it for him. So he's going to be back up and running pretty soon here, ready to make some serious steam with this little single jingle down there. Yes, sir. I'm excited for this sucker. Be a real weapon. This truck, Trackhawk, we are just waiting on headers. It's just the reality of things. Manifolds crack. Unfortunately, welds can crack. Luckily, again, he did go with stainless work, so they do have that lifetime warranty on it. So he's covered there. So let's see what else we got. Ah, man. We got this ProCharge 6.4 we just finished up. Let's go ahead and pop this hood. I know y'all have seen it before, but I want to show y'all again. Made some crazy numbers. 700s on a 6.4 manual car. This thing's going to be a riot on the street. I am so jealous. And this thing is so clean. So we're giving her the silver interior, exterior, making sure she shines. He's picking up today, so we want her to be nice and funky, fresh for him. Let's go ahead. Just take a peek in here. Woo-hoo-hoo! Oh my God, isn't that gorgeous? So nice basic ProCharger, fuel system, proper tune, proper fueling. If done right, these things make serious power. So if you're looking for boost, we are the boys to go to. Let's go see what's going on out in the lot. Uh-oh, snap one, man. Get your bills paid, boys. Let's see what we got. I hear something. What is that? What's that? Oh my God. We got a TRX rolling in. Who's driving it? Whoa. Look at this thing. Ooh. Boss man. What is this?
It's another TRX.
It's silver. What happened to black?
You gotta go with which kind, but she's gonna be wrapped. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Golly, look at this thing. She is crispy. What's done to it? Bone stock? Bone stock.
7,000 miles in 23. We went with a level 2 with the tow package because, we'll dive into what we're doing with her in a little bit. So I'll go get everything set up in the office for her. So if you want to do a walk around,
yeah, let's check this thing out.
Everybody, what we're doing with her.
Man. Ooh. Oh, it's the digital dash on that 23. Oh, copyright. Look at that. Ain't that fancy? Let's go ahead and pop this hood. Check her out before we do our thing to it. You know how we take care of these trucks. This thing will not be stock for long. Oh my God. So weird seeing a stock truck. Stock airbox, stock pulley, stock injector, stock everything. PCM isn't even unlocked. We can't have that. That's not how we roll around here. So it will be Satera spice up pretty soon here. God, this silver is kind of growing on me, man. I don't know. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Big fancy fancy truck. Of course, no sunroof, just adds weight. We don't care about looking nice where we're going, we just care about going fast. So, golly, look at this thing. She is so clean. All right, let's go ahead, let's get in the office, let's go sit down, talk to Jay, and see what's up. Let me...
Don't stop it.
Go ahead and put her on. Put that up. So it'll tilt you.
There we go. All right, thanks for that little delay there. So as you saw, we got a TRX again. So for those that haven't known, this is now the third TRX that we will have on the premises as an R&D vehicle. Hello, Remy. That's our German Shepherd puppy. Sorry. So it's our third TRX. So the first one was a 22 we had. We developed our single turbo compound boosted kit on it. Thing made 1,000 to the wheels. Based on when we had the truck and what we had going on at the shop, we never really got to go to the track. We did one time, full weight, no tuning. We just really drove to the track to have fun. I still had the spare tire in the back, and it went 10.9s, 11.1 at 18, 19 pounds of boost. So nothing super spectacular, but we just want to prove it's a daily drivable setup. So those videos are posted from a couple of years ago. Now I had a 23 after that, which I only had for a couple weeks. Sold that to somebody that did our level 1 package out of Texas, so they have it now. So our thought when we were looking at shop vehicles, so we still have the Charger that's going to be complete in the next week or so. That's going to be for sale. Again, a 2017 Charger Hellcat, red eye swapped. Our simple pulley on it with fuel system support will be true flex fuel, so safe on pumper, E85, ported blower, the whole shebang. So that one will be available soon. What we did with that vehicle is we showed that we could build a vehicle that could run 8s and be daily drivable still. That car was driven every day until it went to the track. So similar to that, we're on the lists, the fast list for Hellcats, 392s, the SUV platform, the Durango, we were one of the first to the 9s. The TRX platform, we don't have a vehicle with our name on it on one of the fast lists. So, third time's the charm, as they say. So this TRX is going to get, basically what we're going to do with it, the mindset behind it, is we're going to build a TRX that can run 9s, 8s maybe, we'll see. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to drive to the track towing a car, do a little bit of prep work there, take about a half hour, race it, load it back up, and then trailer a car home. So this is not going to be a trailer queen. This car is not going to be trailered to the track. We're going to build the TRX to be on the list for a respectable number and still show it's daily drivable. So this is going to be my daily driver until we do it. So we'll see. Obviously, if you haven't guessed, it's going to be turbo. We're going to do it in stages, and we're going to vlog it as we go. We think that'll be kind of fun. So we're going to do, we've done it before, but it's kind of a refresher. So we'll do pump gas tunes only. We're going to do E85 tune only, stock boost. We're going to compound boost it, stock motor, stock trans, and push that. And then we're going to remove the blower and do straight through turbos. So I have 2 turbo kits here, technically 3 that will bolt up to it from a single to a twin. So we're not sure which direction we're going to go, whether it's our kit, do a Helium kit. Technically, I could bolt on the kit from the previous shop car. So give us your opinion and see what you think would be cool to see. Maybe we'll go with that. But we have several options. We've also been talking to a lot of our vendors, and basically what we're going to do is use products from our vendors. So this isn't a one-off type thing. This is going to be something that anybody can duplicate, and it's going to be utilizing our vendors from across the board. So it will get a simple trans when we're ready to push it. Joe Solis is going to set us up for some wheels on it. We're going to be using Helium for the turbos possibly. So 4 for the fuel system. So again, it's just all parts that we bolt onto the cars and the trucks on a weekly basis. So it will be something that anybody can duplicate. It's not going to be anything crazy, not a race truck. It is going to be daily driven.
So for the people joining late, new shop truck, what is it?
2023 Ram TRX. So it's, like I said, my third TRX. A level 2, so it's not a base model or anything. Doesn't have a sunroof.
That's weight, baby. We don't need that where we're going.
I hate sunroofs. Everybody knows.
I like them.
But shout out to the Kunis Auto Group and Gabe over there. They hooked it up yet again for a shop vehicle. They hunted around and they were able to get us something that we wanted. So big shout out to them for coming through again. But yeah, 23 TRX. We're going to make a lot of horsepower and keep it daily drivable. So keep an eye out for that. So,
yeah. So today's topic is fueling. It's such a common question. There's so many misconceptions about it. It's time to clear the air on it.
Yeah, and more so in fueling in regards to like the whys of what we recommend.
Yes.
And this is a subject that has been hitting home more recently for Tulo, and he asked for us to talk about it. And hopefully more people out there will. I'm going to move the camera just there we go. You know, listen and get an understanding. So I'm going to start with like the 57392 platform, and you know. There's different fuel types there, and that will determine not only what you want to run for fuel system or, you know, the power level, right? So a big one, and the reason where this was brought up is in the past couple of weeks we've been getting a lot of guys that are doing 57392s that are going the boosted route.
Yes.
And then they're trying to find a cheap injector, so the go-to is a Hellcat injector. And we end up having that talk to kind of inform them that the Hellcat injector is not as great as what they think it is. And part of that is when we see an injector, we hear about, you know, what it flows, cc's or pounds per hour. And that can determine, you know, a peak, right? Now, the other things we have to consider is where 90% of the people when they're driving is going to be normal operation, part throttle, idle, everything like that. That's called low pulse width operation. So just because an injector can flow 2,000 cc's doesn't mean it's going to be a good idling injector, right? The pulse width on it could be really skewed. And the other thing is also the injector is only capable of whatever the fuel pump system behind it can handle. So
fuel pump and line.
Right, fuel pumps, lines, you know, any type of regulator, restriction, or anything like that.
Absolutely.
And not all injectors are rated at the same fuel pressure. So as an example, we mainly use Injector Dynamics. They're rated at 43 psi of fuel pressure. So the way it works on an injector is as you increase fuel pressure, they technically can flow more. As you lower fuel pressure, they flow less. But one of the negatives that happens with that is the spray pattern. When you think about anything with pressure in a fluid form, it's not as clean. So generally when you go to 80 psi fuel pressure, the pattern that it sprays is not as clean as at 43 psi, even though it's still capable. And then on the flip side with fuel pumps, you know, it's one of those, when you turn them up and you run a lot of fuel pressure, they get hot and things like that. That's like a booster pump, right? We try to put extra voltage in, make it spin faster to hopefully create more fuel flow, which can create more pressure, which then heats things up as well. So the reason why this conversation has happened is the most common we see is 57392 guys want to throw Hellcat injectors onto their boosted application with a stock fuel pump.
Because they see, oh, Hellcats, you know, they make 707 on stock injectors. I can use those, and they're cheap.
Right.
Hellcats, they run different fuel pressure, so they can use those injectors, where the 392 57s, it's what, like half?
Well, so Hellcats from the factory run approximately 80 psi fuel pressure. Red Eyes actually run more under watt conditions or heavy load. To whereas the NA applications, they run around 58 psi is what they're targeting. Now, they are not regulated by a fuel pressure control module. They're actually regulated by a little tiny regulator orifice. There you go.
Sorry.
We'll call you back. So, when you have the 57392s, they have this little orifice that's regulating the pressure. There's no control over that. So when you throw a booster pump on it, you throw two fuel pumps behind it, you're now trying to force all this stuff through the same type of orifice. So there's really no control over the fuel pressure. It's sporadic. The other thing is when you have a returnless style fuel system, if you have no true regulation system on it, what happens is every pound of boost you introduce will lower your fuel pressure, because the injectors, as they open, have the fuel pressure from the boost in the intake manifold. So you're going to battle your fuel pressure dropping. So at a returnless style fuel system car with no regulator, that runs 58 psi, and you throw 8 pounds of boost at it, it now drops down to 50 psi on top of the strain that the fuel pump has that it's not designed for 392 cars. So now you probably have your fuel pressure in the mid 40s compared to you put a Hellcat injector on it that's designed for 80 psi. That's a lot of fuel pressure difference. So like you said, close to half in the fuel pressure, we see those injectors tap out real early. And that's with a super healthy fuel pump.
So if you're up there with high mileage, that pump may not flow as well as a newer pump. So your horsepower may be the limit may be even less.
Exactly. You have fuel filters, you have dirt and the contamination, just a tired pump. So these are all things that need to be considered when you go into it. So our mentality when we go into it is we like to over-injector a car with a high-quality injector. So, and I don't like booster pumps. I will run them when needed. Obviously, it's what we call a Band-Aid. It's not something long-term that I like to lean on. Because what you're doing is you're for these quick bursts, you're causing this fuel pump to spin faster, get a bunch of voltage, overheat. And that's not ideal in situations. Hot fuel is not good, just like hot air is not good. So just one of those, not a big fan. So if we throw an injector in it, like an ID 1050X on this platform, when the fuel pressure drops, you're still in that happy range of that injector. So you don't need to stress that fuel pump in those given situations. So we had a car just a couple weeks ago, a 5.7, we put a Vortec blower on. Just a set of ID 1050s, no booster pump, and it made 530 wheel, and it still had fuel to go.
Proper injector, it goes a long, long way. That car would be really struggling to make that on Hellcats if even.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't, and we've done it before. Now you might be able to get away if you put a booster pump on it, but again, you're relying on that fuel pump to be consistent and stay.
And that's what's keeping your car alive. So when you go ahead and hey, I got a Pro Charger cam, all that stuff, and then the fuel injectors, that's not the place to try and save money. Because you end up, it ends up costing you more in the long run.
Right. So, like I said, it's just the way you kind of approach it. So all these guys that are looking for, Hellcat injectors, I'll be honest, we've had cam-only cars run Hellcat injectors that actually ran out of fuel because the injector can't keep up. And now you're going to throw boost at it, and obviously pump versus 85, there's a different variance, but just to show that injector is not really capable of what you think because of what pressure it normally sees on a Hellcat. So if you turn your fuel pressure up to 80 psi, it's a different ballgame, and then you're equal, but that's not what it is. So keep that in mind when you're looking. The other thing about it, too, is you get what you pay for. I understand people aren't going to fully understand. Other shops will tell you otherwise, but there is a reason injector dynamics are the price they are. They put more effort and time into the low pulse width operation where you're going to spend your driving, your idling. And I have customers out there that went with other branded injectors, I won't use names, and car wide open throttle was fine. It made the fueling that they needed, but they had little hiccups on tip-in, or idle was kind of odd, and all they did was an injector change, and obviously proper tuning, and it was gone. And that just goes to show you why that low pulse width operation is just as important as what the CCs and the pound per hour that it can flow under heavy load. So it's very, very, you got to really look at the full specs on, where an injector is flow tested or what it's rated for at any given, opportunity. So, but
you're not always driving that watch, so that big number isn't, that's not a say all.
Right.
So.
Right. And then another example in the Hellcat platform when we talk about this, for example, red eyes from the factory come with a dual pump setup from the factory. Now, those can make roughly 900, 950 to the wheel with tuning. Where if we put a dual pump setup into a non-red eye Hellcat, we get limited about 915, 920, and that's because of the line, right, the fuel line. So again, that's another piece of the puzzle you have to consider when it comes down to it is not only what's pushing the fuel, but what it has to travel through. When talking to customers, we talk about, blow water through a straw versus blowing water through a hose. You can see the difference on how it projects out. So definitely something to consider on the overall picture. And that is the last piece I'm going to say on it. We tell all our customers, you're going to spend thousands of dollars on your vehicle. You're going to modify tens of thousands to purchase. The last area you want to skimp on is your fuel system. That's the bloodline. If you're going to dump 15 grand into a blower, don't try and cheap out on the injectors.
I went the opposite route on my car. Every single part of my car is used except for my fuel system. So, my whole fuel pump and injectors, because it's so important. It's not something to risk. It's not something to take that gamble on. You try and save, $50, $200. Do it right the first time, and it will take you long places.
Absolutely. And you don't want to go too big. You don't want to throw a set of ID 1700s into an NA E85.
Right.
But a little bit larger injector is not me. We're live. It's embarrassing. But
people want to see
a little bit larger injector is not a bad thing, and it sets you up for the future. So we also like to look at that too, what your long-term goals are, like your short-term goals. So I hate seeing people buy things twice or having to redo it. So that's where, in that type of instance, talk it over with your shop. Make sure you trust them. Make sure they have an understanding of your short and long-term goals.
Like a great example of that is, really common package for us is our level 1. And typically we'll do the ID 1050s because that's what we need. But then we talk goals, and it's like, oh, I might want to run E in the future. Well, how serious are you? In that case, we don't want the 1050s because we need to upgrade to 1300s in the future. Do the 1300s now, buy once, cry once,
Exactly.
Stick with it. We got one right now
Yeah.
that's the exact same talk head with
Yep.
them, and we moved them to the 1300s, and now they're back for the E85, and they're happy because they don't have to buy injectors twice.
Exactly.
So.
He actually was in here 2 weeks ago. We did our level 1. He knew E85 was in the future, so we did the 1300s, and he came back a week later for the E85.
Yep.
So, like I said, we just saved him a hassle and a headache of having to buy a second set of injectors by planning accordingly. So that's where it really comes into play, and really find a shop or someone you trust if it's not us, and listen to them and their experience. I get it, you can save money and be cheaper and try and do a Hellcat or another brand that's cheaper up front, but the amount of times I see guys that do that having to buy more or get a motor because of a failure,
Yes.
it's not worth it in my opinion. I'd rather spend an extra grand on a fuel system and a proper component versus 10 grand on a motor.
It's peace of mind, man. I thrash my car. I've driven it from here to Florida and back, and I know my fuel system won't let me down.
Absolutely. So that's pretty much what we're trying to get to, is just really think about your short, long-term goals and understand how fuel pressure and lines can affect the capabilities of an injector. So that's part of the overall picture. It's not just, hey, this injector can flow this, it's the horsepower I want. There's a lot more that goes into that to achieve that. So I saw a lot of messages. You got any questions on there?
See. A lot of comments.
I see my children on there having fun.
Would a 3.285 on a 4 L2 fuel system be too much for 1300 on E85?
In regards
with
to
1700s.
Yeah, so there's a lot of variables that go into play. So I'll give you an example. We built a twin turbo 392. It was a 411 stroked setup, made about 1400 to the wheel on a dual 285 fuel pump. And it was out of turbos. Now, if you have a blower involved, it's going to be a different scenario. So compression, the engine build, and if it's turbo sizing, everything like that. There's a lot of variables in there. Now, the one thing I will also point out, since we're on the fuel system and I saw that discussion, I see a lot of people going, "Oh, I'm going to get the L2 triple pump." Why not go to the L4? Do a little bit of research on, and we can cover it in a future one, diving more into it, but the difference on a series setup versus a parallel setup. Basically what a series is the feed comes in one side of the fuel rail, completes path through that, does a crossover to the other side of the fuel rail, goes out, and then on the back side of that goes to a regulator. Now, with the regulator, it's okay, you can make some good horsepower, but what I like to look into is what type of variables can I have. So, that regulator is going to be that restriction point. So if you think of anything flowing through, like a hose, if you have a hose that's going and you have 50 psi fuel pressure, and then you poke 8 holes in it in tandem, is the spray pattern on that last hole going to be the same as that first one? No, most likely not. Now, it gets pretty close, but when you're talking 1200, 1300 horsepower, parallel is the way we prefer to go. And the way that works, it's a single feed in that wires off and feeds into one side of the fuel rails, and then it, at that point, goes out of the fuel rails going to the regulator. So the regulator has 2 inputs from the rails and then 1 feed. What happens there is you now have equal pressure bank to bank versus a series where you might have, because the travel to the rails is going to be very much the same. So when you're about to dive in and do a triple pump, I would say in that recommendation, I would do an L4 dual pump over an L2 triple pump. Just because of how the fuel is delivered, you're going to be running E85. There's a 30 to 40% more demand on it. I know that car is going to be a turbo car, so I would look into doing the L4 dual pump over the triple pump L2 any day. And you can ask anybody that's gotten a fuel system from me. I've never sold an L2 fuel pump because of the minor cost difference and the benefits of parallel over series. So something me personally I look into. Everybody has an opinion. Totally understand that. Again, I understand trying to save money, but we have to look and understand there's a reason why the L4 costs a little bit more, and then why that's technically the better style. So I personally would do a set of 285s twins on an L4 system any day. More equal distribution, and it should be more than enough for 12 to 1300 out of turbos.
Show the dog.
People want to see the dog. That's like the main comment, is just show the dog.
Everybody wants to see the dog.
All right,
Wants to
hold
see the
on.
dog. Hold on.
We can do that. That's fine.
Shop
no,
dog.
no other questions?
Shop dog update.
See if there's any-
Which shop dog?
Remy, probably the puppy.
Yeah, it's just Blake and Jeff fighting.
Blake and Jeff. Behave, children.
Here we go.
Donated.
Sula.
Oh, here he comes.
Bring him over.
Come on. Show him.
Bring him. Walk in. Melissa, come. Don't be afraid.
This is Remy.
This is Remy.
Everybody, there's Remy.
You jerk.
He's our new lab dog.
He just bit me this morning. Stop.
He's a 9-week-old German Shepherd from my bodyguard.
Bundle of
Great place.
energy.
Just a bundle of joy.
Put nitrous on the dog.
Put nitrous on the dog.
We
No, he's
will-
getting turbos. What are you
Okay.
talking about?
Twins,
Nitrous.
twins, baby.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Is he daddy?
Hey, you sit down. All right, guys. Very, it's more of a quick subject. There's just less variables in it. And then, like I said, keep an eye out for the shop truck. We are going to heavily document it, so anybody that might have questions or want to go down the same path. So in the next week or so, I saw the cat over temp working. So in the next day or so, I'm going to be doing some pump gas tuning on it again. Switch out the injectors, do some E85. Track's open here soon, so we'll get some testing along the way.
Things don't really stay stock here long.
No, what are you talking about? So you get to see the journey. I know there's a lot of TRX guys that don't know about us like they do on the other platforms, even though we've been playing with them for a while. So this is, like I said, just more so of allowing to share what we can do on that platform. So really appreciate you guys checking in again.
Really?
Well, leave us some questions, comments, or suggestions of what you would like to see discussed in the future. We'll plan on doing this every week, and it's Remy. Finishing up. Sometimes hard to come up for us to think of subjects. So we want to know what you guys want to learn more about. So really appreciate it.
What are you eating?
Last ad.
Once again, merch available before the dog eats it. $45 for sweatshirts, $25 for t-shirts. Please buy it before the dog eats it.
All right, guys.
Please.
Thanks again.